Welcome back to Conversation with Cardinal Dolan. I'm Msgr Jim Vlaun. Joining us now is Christopher McMahon. He's the president and chief executive officer of Aquinas Wealth, based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He's a committee member of the Little Sisters of the Poor, a board member of Mary's Place in Pittsburgh, and also a board member of Legatus International. He joins the show to talk about his book, Faithful Finance's 6 Steps to Establishing a Catholic Financial Life. Welcome to Conversation with Cardinal Dolan.
Chris, we're glad you're here. Thanks for coming on.
Cardinal, for having me.
Monsignor Vlaun.
Monsignor's the best. He's been so kind to me.
You
It's
don't know
unbelievable.
me.
I know you from afar and admire you tremendously.
I admire you, especially after taking a look at the book. You know what I like about it? Right off the bat, when you see Faithful Finances, most people think there's this strict cleavage between, what I do for a living and my faith.
Right.
And making money and my faith. There's this clip. The two really don't have much to do. In fact, sometimes they're at odds, so I better not bring it up. The title itself shows that's wrong, right, Chris?
Yeah, it's really something, Cardinal. We've had people calling us for a while saying, I'm concerned that my investments aren't consistent with my life. Actually, years ago, you never had to worry about that. We had kind of a Judeo-Christian values in the investment world. But as we got a little bit into it, we got some technology. We developed some technology that helps people see what they invest in. Individuals, dioceses, organizations. We're showing this incredible disconnect because, Cardinal, some of the wackiness that permeated some colleges you may know a little bit about over time.
Heard about that.
Yeah, it's happened a little bit, right? Well, it's snuck into the boardrooms, and these people, the hubris of these CEOs, thinking that we care about their look, that we share their values. They took our money instead of sharing it with giving it back in the form of dividends to shareholders. They took it and paid. Remember how outraged they were that Roe was struck down? Wasn't that a beautiful day? But they said, we're going to do it. We're going to step forward and pay $4,000 so you can terminate your pregnancy, and not with complete. The hubris of disregarding the employees, the customers, everybody that cared deeply about this, at least half the country. Good news is we're going to win this thing and turn it around because we could show them what they're supporting.
The fact which you bring out, we're talking to Christopher McMahon here, Faithful Finances, 6 Steps in Establishing a Catholic Financial Life. The fact of the matter is that a responsible use of the talents that God has given us.
Amen.
The responsible use of our own wisdom, our own skills, our own talents, and a responsible return of what we make to take care of the legitimate duties of life and to share with those who don't have as much. Those happen to be extraordinarily high gospel values, correct, Chris?
Absolutely, and I think it was so hard previously to embrace that, so we kind of disregarded that. We siloed our life. We said, okay, our investments are here, our financial life's here, then on Sundays we're here, and we can't do that anymore because what's happened is when we were asleep for the switch, some of these companies stepped in and said, look, we're going to take a radical shift to the left. I can't tell you, Cardinal, how many folks we've seen, how many dioceses we've seen that are supporting things that they had no idea they were supporting.
Right.
Couldn't believe it. It's been wonderful.
You're right. Well, this is what I'm wondering, though, Chris, see if you agree or not. I will have some very successful businessmen come in, businesswomen come in,
yes, sir,
who have made a bundle and who are saying, though, if they serve on a board, they say, we're really going to resign from the board because they're doing things that we find unethical and immoral. We're going to quit and leave and walk out. I will sometimes say, would you have more impact if you stayed on the board and argued your case? Am I off base there?
You're right on target. I've been the victim of the same thing. I've been on boards and I got it indignant. I have to leave because you don't support me. And Bishop Zubik, who was on our endorsers of the book, said to me several times, I called him and said, Bishop, I got to go. And he said, you got to stay. And he was right, because that's how we fight the battle. And if we leave, then what happens is
they applaud. They're saying, oh, good,
exactly.
now we can
Exactly.
appoint somebody who agrees with us all the time.
100%, Cardinal. You're right on with that.
So you would encourage them, stick around. They need your gospel witness at these board meetings.
I protest because of this, and make it public. And I think that's I think that's the way we have to do it.
You're a parent.
Yes, sir.
So tell our listeners how you raise the kids, training them to be, fiscally responsible. How to earn their money, how to save it, how to invest it, how not to use it.
I think that's a discipline, and we wish we were better at it now. In retrospect, those 5 kids are all in New York City, and I think we're still paying for 4 cell phone bills. So we haven't done exactly our job in that way. But I think as they start to get more and more adult, we see some of those habits, particularly about giving back to the church. We talk about in the book. We talk about in our company, Aquinas Wealth Advisors. It is a responsibility of successful business people to support religious orders, to support the church, because those are the people who are praying for us. If this is in fact important to us, we got to be all in.
Yeah.
And I think when our kids see that, I'm a big Legatus guy, as Msgr said. I was on the board for a number of years. Tom Monahan was gracious enough to endorse the book. And I think it's because we say to people, this is important to us out loud. And that's why we admire your witnesses, both of you gentlemen, for what you've done. Because as lay people, we can only do so much. But it's important we jump in the pool.
Fascinating. So I can remember my father, and he didn't make much money, but when he would come home on Friday night, when he'd have his salary, and he had a shoebox with the bills in it, and they would be categories where electric bill, how much do I write the check to? Gas bill. Sometimes he couldn't pay it all. The first in there was the envelope for Sunday Mass.
Wow.
That's what he'd give first. No matter, even if he had to fudge a little on the other ones, this comes first. That stuck with me all the time.
It's amazing. That's an amazing witness. It's interesting. Molly and I run a conference every year, my bride, called Catholics of the Shore. Monsignor's been down. It's been a beautiful conference. It's really growing down in Stone Harbor, New Jersey. This year we have 3 business people, big-time business folks, who have knocked it out of the park, who are coming and saying the most important thing to me is my faith. How do I give back? How do I make a significant difference? And it's so great to see that, because when you see it, you say, wait a second, these guys aren't talking about jets and 5th homes. They're talking about how do I advance the ball in our church? And that's aspirational for Molly and I. I love seeing that.
That's why we sometimes bristle priests, because periodically, none of us relish it. We have to preach money.
Right.
All right? But in a way, that's biblical. When I do my annual pitch for the Cardinal's annual stewardship appeal, I say, now you're all going to talk, Dolan's preaching money again. He's supposed to preach the Bible. I'm going to say, well, I am preaching the Bible. The Bible talks about something called stewardship, and let me tell you what it is. But so it is biblical, isn't it? It does stem from our life of faith.
Absolutely. We feel that if people would just, first of all, evaluate their financial life a little bit closer, put a little bit more discipline in, and then put God first. First of all, the stories we've received of people who've been rewarded far beyond as they put money in, they became, beautiful stories about people as they gave more blessings came to them. But secondly, a lot of times it doesn't even affect your lifestyle. They're stepping away from things that are inconsistent with their faith and moving more towards alignment. This is what we're talking about, aligning our faith life and our financial life, and really being good stewards to our children, as you said so accurately. What's more important to our children than to exemplify this behavior? And then secondly, to support these beautiful churches. I walk around New York City and see them, and really it's so important. And these religious orders, Molly and I are out of our minds for the Sisters of Life, and we're embarrassed that we can't even do more. We always think they're going to call us stalkers and tell us to leave them alone. But
I would encourage you in that embarrassment. Because I love them too, and they depend on the generosity of others, as we all do, don't we, Monsignor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris puts his money where his mouth is. He's got a great website. You should tell everybody your website, too.
Thank you so much, Monsignor. AquinasWealth.com is where people can find everything. They can find about our company at no obligation. They can actually put their investments in. We've had many dioceses do it. They link their diocese and get detailed reports of what they're supporting. It's dark sometimes, so we're a little afraid to do it.
What is it again?
AquinasWealth.com.
AQUINAS,
yes,
AquinasWealth.com.
Exactly.
And again, Christopher McMahon, Faithful Finances, 6 Steps to Establishing a Catholic Financial Life. Put up, again, by Sophia, huh? We got to run on Sophia today. They better give us 10%. Anyway, thanks for what you do, Chris.
Thank you.
And we need this. We sometimes think that Catholic morality has nothing to do with the business world and all. We're incarnational people. Every aspect of life is under the light of the gospel, the microscope of Jesus. So,
Amen.
Way to go.
Beautiful.
Keep up the good work. We need you.
Amen. We'll be back with more conversation with Cardinal Dolan. Andrew McAleer will join us right after this.